Welcome back everyone to Top 10 Gaming. I'm your host Johnny Rogers, and if you happen to be new here, we put out daily content on all things gaming, so if you're down with that, then I got 2 words for you: tap subscribe. Plus, leave us a comment down below with who your favorite Pokemon trainer is, and while you ponder that, let's jump into today's list of the top 10 Pokemon trainer creepypastas you've never heard of. At number 10, Trapped in a Cave. This creepypasta is more sad and disturbing than just scary, but still a good one. It's a tale of a player who comes across a horrible sight in a cave. The only light seemed to be coming from the tail of a Charizard named Ruby. Ruby was with her trainer, but something was wrong. The trainer was missing his arm and both of his legs. Ruby appeared to be sad and afraid. The trainer repeatedly kept asking the Charizard if it was hungry. Ruby denied, but its rumbling stomach told another story. The man insisted she eat and eventually placed his other arm in between Ruby's fangs. Eventually the Charizard closed its eyes and bit off his arm, leaving the trainer with only a head and a torso remaining. The trainer eventually fell asleep and the Charizard continued crying, as if it knew what was going to happen the next time it got hungry. Coming in at number 9, Here Lies Giovanni. This creepypasta is based on a story called Colorblind found on the Creepypasta wiki page. It's a tale of a gamer who falls deep into a hacked copy of Pokemon Yellow. In the game, the main character is a trainer named Dane with a Pikachu named Laddie. The gamer finds out that this storyline is much different than any that he's ever played before. It follows Dane, Laddie, and another trainer named Delia, who travels with them throughout the game. After becoming somewhat famous for his success in battles, he's asked to become the gym leader for Viridian City. He then hears a snap and his game shuts off. When he restarts, a text box appears reading 1 year later. His sprite is a little bit different this time. He's now the gym leader, but his Pikachu is missing. The gamer soon comes to realize that Laddie had passed away in the year that Dane was the gym leader. He has one last interaction with his old friend Delia, who doesn't want anything to do with him after his neglect led to the loss of Laddie. He gives her his mother's old home in Pallet Town and decides that it's best if they part ways. Then, once again, the game snaps and shuts off. When the gamer restarts, Dane's sprite is now wearing a striped suit and has much more defined, mature features. The game takes over in cinematic fashion and brings Dane to the Pokemon Tower. He says one last goodbye to Laddie, and a text box appears that says, "I will never find another you, but a Pikachu I will find. I will form an organization to purge Kanto until it is found. I came as Dane, but I will leave as another." The sprite then walks along the tombstone, stopping at one for a moment, and a text box appears that reads, "I must find a name appropriate to depart with." The tombstone then reads, "Here lies Giovanni." In at number 8, You Will Join Us. This creepypasta is about a gamer who loved playing Pokemon Gold and worked so hard to build his team up. When his battery drained though, he ended up losing all of his saves. As a result, he moved on to newer versions of Pokemon, but when Pokemon Heart Gold was released, he was excited to replay a familiar region. When he starts the game, Professor Elm greets him by his name except says "Welcome back." This was odd, but he continued. He would then say, "They're waiting for you." And at this point he loses control of his character and is teleported to Lavender Town, where he sees 6 gravestones all in a row, all of which had his Pokemon Gold teammates' names on them. They rose from the graves except in a more pixelated Game Boy Color version, each one confronting the trainer that he had left them behind. Then one addressed him by name saying, "We are yours, so if you will not permit us to join you, you will join us." Immediately after this, his sprite began doing the dig animation, causing the screen to go completely dark. In at number 7, It's Just a Game. This creepypasta is about a gamer who comes across strange shape-shifting Pokemon, and at one point she believes she's seeing a Clefairy until it suddenly changes into a Gengar that lets out an evil laugh before disappearing. Then while in the rock tunnel, she's confronted by another Pokemon who at first appears to be an Onix that then soon changes to jet black with glowing red eyes. Fully believing at this point that she may have purchased a hack copy of the game, she continues on to see what else it offers. The dark turn happens when she's faced against another unknown trainer named Aaron, who shockingly resembles her best friend Aaron in real life. When the battle begins, Aaron first uses a Gengar, and then the all-black Onix, and then her final Pokemon was none other than the Buried Alive character. That's when the Aaron trainer begins to decay like the Buried Alive character itself, and as the screen flashed red, she throws her Game Boy aside to call her friend. Her friend Erin tries to calm her down, saying that it's just a game, but when she comes back to her Game Boy, the Erin trainer is facing her with a text box that just reads, "It's just a game, right?" In at number 6, Poor Rival. This creepypasta is more of a history lesson on your rival, but it is still something to consider when playing the game that may start to creep you out. When you meet your rival in Lavender Town, he's actually there to lay his fallen Raticate to rest, the one Pokemon that you actually defeated in your last meeting. Instead of blaming you for its loss, your rival channels his hatred for you into becoming the Indigo League champion. However, before he can do that, you beat him once again, and at the end your poor rival is scolded by his grandfather while you receive the professor's praise. Throughout the game, you manage to crush your rival's innocence, crush his dreams, and steal away the love from his own grandfather. The author then ends the story by saying, maybe he's a ghost that can't leave, or just an orphan who lost his Raticate in a freak accident, and can't stop thinking about it and can never leave until death itself can rid him of this. But that's how it goes, or maybe it's just all in your head. In at number 5, Mount Silver. This is a creepy yet somehow touching story about the ghost of your rival in the first Pokemon games. It's known that years before you meet Professor Oak, he trained your rival Red to reach Mount Silver. What's unknown is that once Red was there, he was never heard from again, and upon failed attempts at contact, Professor Oak travels to Mount Silver to discover that Red has died. What he sees though is the spirit of Red, and his ghost simply utters, "Help me." Oak knew that he needed to find a trainer worthy enough to make it to Mount Silver in order to free the spirit of Red. The Elite Four are positioned strategically as your last test to prove your worthiness as a trainer. When you finally meet Red at Mount Silver, he's surprised to see you and with no words exchanges in a battle of epic proportions. When you have won the battle, Red says nothing, and before disappearing from your view, he has a faint smile, almost to say thank you. In at number 4, Nightmare's Revenge. In this creepypasta story from the wiki page, a gamer has an evil encounter with a rogue Gengar. He first comes across the Pokemon in the wild, and then when he catches it, he renames it to Nightmare. After regular life events took over, the gamer never really had time to play his Pokemon Soul Silver. When he finally picked it back up, the Gengar was no longer in his party, and in front of him was his rival curled up in a pool of blood, barely alive. With his last words he said, "Ethan, a Gengar attacked me." He said something about finding a guy named Red. "Here, take this." What he gave him was a crucifix of some kind, and after he tracked down the Gengar, he battled with him, except the Gengar somehow knew the gamer's real name. He said, "Tell me, Ben, do you still care about me?" Ben answered by hitting the yes option, but Nightmare didn't care. He wiped out Ben's Pokemon, and with only his sprite left, Ben remembered the crucifix. He used that, and the Gengar sprite appeared shocked as if it sunk into the ground, leaving a text box that said, "Nightmare has died." As the credits rolled and Ben in complete shock himself, he was about to shut off the Game Boy when Nightmare's red eyes filled the screen and a demonic voice said, "I wouldn't celebrate so soon, Ben. For as long as you live, I will haunt you." In at number 3, Life Force. This creepy tale is about a sinister Litwick. A trainer and her Pokemon were traveling through a dark cave when they saw a flickering light in the distance. The Litwick approached and agreed to help guide them through the tunnel. What they didn't know was that Litwick would be slowly draining the energy from her Pokemon. When her Dewott finally fainted and died, she desperately tried to reach for a Pokeball to assist her, but Litwick wasn't having any of that. The Pokemon knocked her to the ground as her energy was rapidly fading. A text box then appeared that said, "Death shines like a candle." In at number 2, Whole Again. This creepypasta is about a gamer who was playing Pokemon Black and wished to capture a rare dragon Pokemon that was said to be lurking in the caves. Although along the way he's faced with creepy signs that warn the dragon needs flesh to survive and to become whole again. He keeps seeing this "whole again" phrasing everywhere. He wouldn't come to realize its meaning until he finally battled the mysterious Pokemon. While in a battle, when one of his Pokemon would faint, a piece of them would now be attached to the enemy's sprite, making him whole again. Last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Loss of Purpose. This heartbreaking creepypasta is about the characters in the Pokemon game and what happens when left behind. Our protagonist picks up an old copy of Pokemon Red, but noticed that after every trainer or enemy that he defeated, they would just say, "Now I shall stand forgotten." This creepy message was alluding to the fact that once you move on in the game, they remain in place with no real use. Eventually our gamer comes into an odd battle with himself, and after losing the battle, the enemy says, "Your purpose has been served. End it all before you exist alone forever." When he tried to start a new game, he would only get a message that said, "The dead do not return." It wasn't until then that our protagonist realizes the character's fear of a loss of purpose. And that has been the top 10 Pokemon Trainer creepypastas you've never heard of. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, show us some love by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus, leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is click that playlist on the screen. From Top 10 Gaming, I'm Johnny Rogers. Until next time, take care.